Hi, everyone. I'm Alan True, and thank you for tuning in to the 247 Sports YouTube channel, where today we have a special event, the live commitment of offensive lineman Anthony Knapp from Roswell, Georgia, as he will tell us where he will spend the next 4 to 5 years of his football career. He's narrowed down his list from double-digit offers to 5 schools. Notre Dame is the 247 Sports crystal ball leader, but Georgia Tech, North Carolina, NC State, and Penn State have also made his finalists, and he has visited those programs, took several trips during the early part of this month, was just in South Bend and picked up an offer from the Fighting Irish then. And whoever gets Anthony Knapp today is going to get a player who started a lot of games at left tackle for a good program down there in Roswell, Georgia. At 6'4", 268 pounds, he's a really good athlete who has gone out and verified his testing results, shown his athleticism, and he knows how to put the man in front of him on his back to the tune of 81 knockdowns last season. He can play inside, he can play outside, but he brings that left tackle experience, and he's done that against high-level competition. So with that, let's take you out to Georgia and bring in the man of the hour, Mr. Anthony Knapp.
What's going on?
Hey, Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing great. Excited.
Good. I saw you got your first offer. It was around this time about a year ago that UMass was your first offer. So since then, what's the recruiting process been like for you?
Well, it's been kind of slow because UMass being my first offer, I didn't get another offer until about halfway through my junior season, being a light offensive lineman. But after that season, in January, towards the end, I just started blowing up, and it was just a big experience.
So you say you were a light offensive lineman. What did you weigh at the time of your first offer, and what do you weigh now?
Okay, so I always used to say that I was like 230 pounds coming in, for my first offer, make myself look good. But to be honest with you, I was 212 pounds by the time I got my first offer.
And today you are?
268.
So what has that process entailed? How have you been able to add that good weight in the last year?
Okay, so I have a really good strength coach, a really good offensive line coach, and it's very hard work because they always tell you to keep my athleticism because I feel like that's what makes me a unique offensive lineman. So it's a long process, but I just hit the weight room. I didn't try to take any consecutive breaks, and I stayed consistent with my food and my diet, and it's paying off.
Well, that also paid off in the form of college offers. You mentioned that it took a minute, but things picked up, especially in the winter and spring here. So what have the last couple months and even couple weeks been like for you as you check out schools and new schools popped up on the radar?
Well, it's definitely a new experience for me because my mom, she's from Holland, she's Dutch, and she moved here when she was around 20 years old, and she didn't really know what football was until I started playing it. It's a new experience for my whole family. My whole family is involved. Going to these colleges, it's an eye opener. It's very cool, and I'm glad I get to experience this.
Well, that experience comes to a milestone right now as you're about to tell us where you will play your college football. So the floor is yours. Let us know where you will be committing to.
Yes, sir. Well, all these decisions have been very hard, and with these top 5 schools, I couldn't go wrong with anyone. But they always tell you when you go to a school and you know what's right, it feels right. And so I like to say I'm committed to Notre Dame.
Congratulations on that commitment to the Fighting Irish. Now, first, I understand you have a long-time relationship with Joe Rudolph. He was your first Power 5 offer when he was at Virginia Tech. So how did that relationship develop and carry over to South Bend?
Well, first of all, I knew Coach Rudolph from going to a Virginia Tech camp back in last summer. And so I stayed in touch with him because I showed out in that camp, and I stayed in touch with him ever since. After the Virginia Tech offer, I went up for a visit because Virginia Tech, he was they always tell you not to follow school for the coach, which obviously, but he was definitely one of the main reasons Virginia Tech was so high on my list. And when he went to Notre Dame, I was ecstatic because hopefully that gives me an opportunity where I am today, which it does. But I told my family immediately, and as soon as I could get a visit, I came up, even though I wasn't offered at that time. But yeah.
So, I know you have a connection, obviously, with Coach Rudolph, but you also mentioned that when you get to the right school, you kind of feel that. So when you visited Notre Dame, what are some of the other things that stood out about that campus, school, and program that made you say you wanted to be part of that?
Well, everyone knows Notre Dame as this big football school, and walking into that facility, you get to see the heritage firsthand. walking in the field, walking down through the locker room and everything. It's just I want to play for a school that has that heritage. I feel like a school that can revolve around football and education is very important to me, and that's where I think Notre Dame stuck out.
We talked in the open that you have that left tackle experience. Others have talked about you possibly moving inside. As Coach Rudolph and the staff at Notre Dame said anything about where you might play and if it might be more than one position that you could give them some help at?
Yes, sir. Well, Coach Rudolph currently sees me. He's going to put me. He sees me as a 5-player position. I think I would be open to that too, because whatever it takes to get on the field. But Coach Rudolph is talking about seeing me as an offensive tackle because he believes I have that instinctual feel for an edge rusher and that speed and agility that I can not necessarily match, but can keep up with those edge rushers because you know how quick they're getting. But yeah, it's just my fundamentals too with my coach. I just think that also makes me very unique. And I'm going to start off with like offensive tackle, I'm pretty sure.
All right, last question for you. Up here in the north, I'm surrounded by a couple of your future teammates, CJ Carr and Cam Williams, who I'm sure are excited about your addition. Have you gotten with those guys and talked about recruiting other players to Notre Dame at all yet?
I have not. I haven't spoken to any of them.
So this is pretty new, right? I mean, you just visited campus over the weekend, so I'm sure you'll be in a group chat before too long.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Well, congratulations, Anthony. Tell us one more time, how does it feel to go from 212 pounds and one offer to now committed to one of the top programs in the country?
Well, it's weird though because you don't really think it's real, because it wasn't so long ago I was playing at such a lightweight and so 7A Georgia football, and it feels great. It's paying off, even though I believe the journey's just beginning, and I wholeheartedly believe that. But I can't wait to, prove myself to the next level.
Well, congratulations once again. Thanks for sharing the news with us right here on 247 Sports, and congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
So that is Anthonie Knapp, who is now committed to Notre Dame. Joe Rudolph with a big land in the Fighting Irish's offensive line class. And to break that down a little bit more and talk about what's going to happen next in Notre Dame's recruiting class, I'd like to welcome Irish Illustrated's Tom Loy to the broadcast. Tom, that's first of all a very well-spoken young man right there. Talk a little bit about this addition for Notre Dame and how it helps them build an offensive line class.
Yeah, Knapp joins Peter Jones as the second offensive line commitment in the class, and they're definitely not done. There's a couple other guys they're going to be looking for to fill the rest of the offensive line in the 24 class. But this is a big get. It's a really good get. I think this is a guy that's going to slowly climb up the rankings. I know our director of scouting, Andrew Ivins, likes him from a couple times he's watched him. So he's a guy you got to watch for a potential riser. He's got long arms, 34-inch arms, 11-inch hands. He's, as we obviously discussed, he added great weight over the last year or so, and he did it easily. And it seemed like it was something he added quickly, and that's just going to continue to occur over the next year or two. So when you put on the tape, you see he's a mauler. He's a nasty kid. In my opinion, I see a guard, but there is no question that playing tackle at the collegiate level, at least, I think if he makes it to the NFL, I definitely see a guard for sure. But tackle is not out of the question at Notre Dame. And just when you watch him on tape, you just see that it's a natural fit for him. Like he said, he could play all 5 positions, and I couldn't agree more. Joe Rudolph, Marcus Freeman, Jared Parker, all these guys are fired up about this win for Notre Dame. So another great kid off the field with a nasty streak on it. He's going to fit in pretty well at Notre Dame.
Yeah, Joe Rudolph's track record at the offensive line position, a pretty good one as well. So you like to trust his evals. He is the new man in town on the offensive line at Notre Dame. How has his impact been felt so far in recruiting, and what's on the horizon maybe for him and this offensive line class?
I mean, away from recruiting, I'll say that everybody seems to be a pretty big fan of him. They're very excited about him. They wanted somebody that was going to come in and just really fit in with the O-line unit, bring a great wealth of knowledge, but also a guy that the players can really look at as a father figure, a mentor. And that's really, it's exactly what's happened since he got on board under Marcus Freeman. So, but recruiting wise, like I said, they already landed Peter Jones, and that's going to be that's a nice start to the group, but they're far from done. Gerby Lambert is probably the guy that everybody needs to keep an eye on most. I have a crystal ball for Notre Dame to land him. He's a top 100 talent nationally out of Massachusetts. And this kid's 6'6", 280, They're looking for tackles, and he fits that mold. He checks that box. So he's a guy that's going to be on campus, I believe, for the spring game. So keep an eye on him and how things move forward with Notre Dame, because I really like their chances there. Modern day 5-star offensive tackle Brandon Baker is another that picked up a Notre Dame offer recently, and he's somebody you need to watch down the road. If you can get to campus, you have a shot. But obviously, pulling somebody from modern day USC's backyard, especially with what they're doing, it's not going to be easy. The other guy I like is Andrew Sprague, who was on campus last weekend. This guy, in my opinion, is Mike McGlinchey 2.0. He's 6'8", 290. He's just outside the top 100 nationally, but he looks like McGlinchey. And then when you turn on that tape, you see that same kind of talent, which is why, like I said, he's closing in as a top 100 talent. So far from done along the offensive line. I would expect probably 2 more guys in this class. I don't see 3, but you never know. You're not going to pass on elite talent if they want to come this way.
So now zooming out and looking at the class as a whole, 9 commits now with Anthonie Knapp joining today. The early team rankings you got to always take them with a little bit of a grain of salt, but they are at number 4 right now in the overall team rankings. And looking at the crystal ball picks and the guys that are on the board, there's a lot of potential and ceiling left in this class. So how good can this class be, and who are some of the names outside of the offensive line that Irish fans should still be keeping an eye on?
I know there's a lot of uncertainty when I put this crystal ball prediction in, but I still feel good about Notre Dame to eventually land composite 5-star defensive tackle Justin Scott out of Chicago. He was just on campus, and I'm telling you, that visit could not have gone any better. Defensive line coach Al Washington, defensive coordinator Al Golden, and obviously head coach Marcus Freeman laid out the red carpet. Mom, dad, the young man himself, everybody seems to be very on board with Notre Dame as a very realistic candidate. I'm still watching Georgia, still watching Miami, and I'm still watching Ohio State. But right now, like I said, I feel good about my crystal ball for Notre Dame. Logan Thomas is an edge rusher, a 4-star guy that really blew up at the underclassmen combine in San Antonio. He's a guy that was just on campus, and he's already, from what I'm told, has locked in an official visit for later this, I think it's going to be in June. So keep an eye on Notre Dame there. They made a great impression. Continuing along the defensive line, because they're looking to add a lot of guys there. Jacob and Gerard Smith, 2 4-star guys that Notre Dame seems to be in a really good spot for. They'll be back on campus this weekend. We've already talked about a lot at Irish Illustrated. Bryant Young, his son, he's a legacy kid, a 4-star edge guy, a guy with a ton of talent. But just to show some love to the offensive side of the ball, keep an eye on Jason Robinson, the wide receiver out of California. Chancey Stuckey's working really hard there. I think Notre Dame's in a pretty good spot at this point. He's doing a really good job. He's been on campus multiple times, has a great relationship with the staff. Jared Parker's working hard on that one as well. So, it's not all defensive love for these guys, but I really think this class is shaping up to be one of the nation's best.
Well, I'm getting closer by the day to joining you on that Justin Scott crystal ball. So
talking.
Good call by you being early on that one. Tom, big day for the Irish. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Al.
So there you have it. The Irish add Anthonie Knapp to this class, an athletic offensive tackle who's certainly moving in the right direction in terms of his development and weight. We thank Anthonie for joining us and sharing his commitment with us. This is where I spit some cliches at all of you about liking and subscribing our channel. Please do that. Helps us out, and keep it tuned here to the 247 Sports YouTube channel as spring recruiting heats up, and then we get into official visit season, summer season. So keep it locked right here for the latest in college football and college basketball recruiting, as well as college football and college basketball themselves. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Anthonie Knapp. Thank you to Tom Loy, and have a good one.